It was an abridged weekend in the NAIA in football this weekend. So we're here to talk about that, though. We understand sometimes there are going to be fewer games than others. That's all right. We'll talk about the 30 plus games. I think 32 games that there were this weekend throughout the NAIA football schedule. Thanks for sticking around. A little bit of a late start here tonight. Sorry about that. But it is a Sunday night, and Sunday is family time. Get through church, get through family time, spending time with the kids and all that today. We are here to talk about the NAIA, and as Jake mentions, there were a couple of upsets this week as well, and we look ahead, by the way, to the fact that the KCAC and the Hart Conference will start divisional play next week. We'll talk about that and a few things more. We're talking about the top 5 performances tonight in the NAIA. And we have one that was very close on the outside looking in. We always go beyond the 5 as well. We don't hit every single game on the schedule, but we do try to talk about a lot of them, including some upsets. So we'll talk about things going beyond the 5, and then we'll hit those top 5 performances. So thanks for sticking around. Please let me know from where you are watching live tonight here on Midwest Sportsnet. We're very close to 1,500 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that as well. All right, Ave Maria, 28, Thomas, 22. And Thomas made quite a comeback in this one, but the Nighthawks just still are on the outside looking in. I already used that phrase once today, trying to find that elusive first win in NAIA program history. Brian Steinke, 32 carries. He is the workhorse once again. 235 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns on the day for the Gyrenes, who come away with another win. Florida Memorial, 72. Warner, 19. And the Lions had 742 yards of total offense, just ran all over the place. Marion, 41. Madonna, nothing. Not an upset there by any stretch. The defense for the Knights held Madonna to negative 24 yards rushing on the day. Zach Bundelow continues to simply get the job done, and that's what he's done for the Knights in his time there. 13 for 24 passing, 279 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks on the day. St. Francis of Indiana, 42. Siena Heights, 28. St. Francis scored the last 21 points after trailing 28-21 with about a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Grant Grimmel, 16 for 32, 293 yards passing on the day, 3 passing touchdowns, no picks for him either. St. Xavier, 58, Judson, 6. St. Xavier scored the first 51 points in this one. The Cougars wrapped it up quickly. Stuart Ross, 20 of 26 passing, efficient day, 317 yards, 4 touchdowns, through no picks on the day. And Quinn Callahan, an 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Antonio Orozco, 39-yard interception for a touchdown. And the Cougars were just getting it done left and right. Let's go out west for this one. Southern Oregon, 23, Rocky Mountain, 5. May not have gotten our attention that much. However, I will say there were 2 games in which a team scored 5 points this weekend. Now, it's rare when you get one game in a week, or I'd say really even in a season, where a team scores just 5 points. It happened twice this weekend. One of them, Southern Oregon, 23, Rocky Mountain, 5. Rocky Mountain had been stopping the run. Simply did not happen this week. And by the way, they didn't run the ball well either. They had just 10 rushing yards on the day. The Battling Bears didn't battle against that run very much, gave up a lot on the ground. Southern Oregon had 2 100-yard rushers on the day. Isaiah Hidalgo, 14 carries, 148 rushing yards. And Avery McQuaig, 18 carries, 132 rushing yards. Oh, and he had 3 touchdowns, by the way. So Southern Oregon, 23-5. Shout out to Roger. And, go Zach Bundelow. Go Bundy. I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks very much. Longtime watcher. Well, really, I appreciate that. And listen, Roger, feel free, get involved in the chat here. We like that. We enjoy that as well. Dave checking in from the GPAC. That is an interesting score. We're not going to talk about that one as much, but we are going to mention that tonight because it is a big deal. We'll talk about the Warriors just a little bit later on. Back to our Beyond the 5. The other team that scored 5 points, Faulkner, put up just 5 points in this game. Now, Rocky Mountain, to the defense credit, did put together a safety. Faulkner, it was the other way around, and the 2 points came early. Elliott Shorter was able to pick up a failed extra point attempt and run it 97 yards the other way. the 2 points along with a field goal. Campbellsville 36, Faulkner 5. And so Faulkner does get points on the board. How about Jagger Gillis? Once again, he's still in the top 5. Now, his passing average for the season has dropped below 300 yards per game. He was 18 for 29 on Saturday, 248 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He led the team, by the way, with 34 rushing yards as well on 5 carries. He was involved in 34 of the Campbellsville offense, 59 plays on the day. So more than half of the touches went through Jagger Gillis, and why not? Luke Shepperson, 4 receptions on the day, 100 yards even, had 2 receiving touchdowns. Campbellsville with another win. Briar Cliff, we go over to the GPAC. Maybe not one of the high-profile games of the day, but it was a big win for the Chargers, 18-16 over Doane, and they keep Doane out of the win column. I thought this might be Doane's opportunity. It was not. Corey Carignan, did I get that right? Had only 2 touchdowns. He bookended the scoring. The first touchdown in the first quarter, a 14-yard reception, and the final score later on, the 2 touchdowns for the day, 91-yard touchdown reception in the fourth quarter. That proved to be the game winner. 7 catches on the day for 142 yards and those 2 TDs. Brock Saya, 21 of 33 passing, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, but this is really what kept it close. Doane had 4 interceptions on Saya on the day. So the Doane defense trying to keep the team in it. A little bit too much Charger offense. Number 1 team in the country. Let's talk about the Red Raiders for about this long, because that's it. 45-7, just mopped up the floor with Hastings. Not really more of turf up there in Orange City. It was a red out. They honored the 73 national champions. They honored the 83 national champions. They're hoping they're 23 national champions. That remains to be seen. We'll see how it all works out. Michael Story, another big day, as he's one of the top 5 in the country with receiving yards per game, and another big game for him. 6 catches, 157 yards receiving, 26.2 yards per catch, and had 2 receiving touchdowns as well. This one's an interesting score, and it comes on an interesting day. Some of you all are familiar with the largest margin of victory in a college football game ever. It happened when Georgia Tech defeated Cumberland 222-0. That was on this day, yesterday, back in 1916, 107 years ago. Wow, was that long? Well, Cumberland celebrated by beating Cumberland's 21-17 yesterday. Trayon Shepard, 12 carries, 146 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, had a 79-yard rushing touchdown that proved to be the game winner with 7:38 left in the contest. Luke Holloway, 11 for 25 passing, 92 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown, did throw a pick, but he had 15 carries for 89 yards and the 2 rushing touchdowns on the day, the other 2. So Cumberland, the Phoenix, get it done. Here is one of my picks, and if you've been watching this fall, I'm telling you, you need to be on the lookout for Louisiana Christian, and the Wildcats get it done, blanking the Stallions from North American 55-0. For Louisiana Christian, it was the first shutout in 12 years, and they held the Stallions offense to just negative 17 yards. Not just negative 24 yards rushing. Marion did a good job of that. Negative 17 yards of total offense, and not one, but 2 safeties. Got 4 points on defense by way of safety. Sal Palermo, the third, continuing to roll, 24 of 37 passing, 288 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The Lions of Langston stay in the win column, 33-3, and Langston with 2 pick sixes in the win. The teams combined to throw 5 interceptions on the day. A little bit sloppy there on offense, but Langston 33-3 over Panhandle State, trying to stay in that Sooner Athletic Conference race. Sagu 37, Wayland Baptist 16. Another group of Lions there, and the Southwestern Assemblies of God outscored Wayland Baptist 37-3 in the second half after trailing by 13 early on. DeKevion Rose, 13 of 17. Here we go. It looked like a passing stat on my list just a moment ago. 13 carries for 17 yards. I know, not a stat we normally mention in Beyond the 5, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns. Carries of 3 yards, 2 yards, and 1 yard for his 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. Rose with 3 big scores proved to be enough in and of itself to put the Lions over the top. How about Eastern Oregon? 28-3 over MSU Northern. The Mountaineers 0-4 to start the season have won their last 2 games. Malachi Spurrier, 6 catches, 116 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. It's his third 100-plus receiving yard game of the season in those 6 games. I said that the rules say that one of these 2 teams are going to win. We mentioned this on Thursday night in the preview. Arkansas Baptist was 0-5 coming in. Texas College was 0-5 coming in. I couldn't even get a score on Saturday. Finally found one. It was 23-8, just so you know. Arkansas Baptist does come away with the win in that one. By the way, one of the score, and I'll mention this because Dave mentions it right now. We haven't really got to the GPAC yet, but let's stop right there for a moment. Midland gets the upset win over Dordt. It's a 10-7 final. The Warriors get the win there. And really, I had thought, and we'll talk about something good I said in a moment. There's no video evidence of this unless you go back and watch Thursday night's show. But I really thought that Dordt would be able to continue the slide for Midland. The Warriors started off 3-0 and then came to a very, very tough portion of the schedule, losing to Dakota Wesleyan, losing to Northwestern, losing to Morningside. Thought Dordt, who was a top 10 team, might continue that streak. And Dordt had been scoring well, top 5 in the country, been holding points off the board for their opponents, top 10 in the country in that category, top 5 actually as well. Not the case. A 10-7 final as Midland does the job on defense and gets just enough points there to pick up the win. How about that one? Montana Western, 38. Montana Tech, 28. 2 teams that came in with just 1 loss, and the Bulldogs still have just 1 loss. A big win. It was 14-14 at the end of the first quarter. This was one of our big games that we talked about this weekend as well, and it proved to be an exciting game. 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. Michael Palandri, 19 of 27 for 224 passing on the day. Threw 1 touchdown, no picks though. He was also 16 for 68 rushing, 1 rushing touchdown. Eli Norse, 7 catches for 87 yards receiving, 1 touchdown reception. He also had a second touchdown, 2 rushes, picked up 7 yards. One of them sent him across the goal line. Montana Tech, Blake Thielen, 19 for 33 passing, 306 passing yards. Had 3 touchdowns, no picks on the day. Jordan Jackson for the Ore Diggers, 8 catches, 153 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Just not quite enough. And tell Arthur, by the way, for the Diggers, 15 tackles, but it was Montana Western, too much Bulldogs. They get the win. Kaiser over St. Thomas, another one of those games that we said was a big one, and it goes to the Seahawks. Now, both these defenses held the headliner running backs in check on the day. Rontavious Farmer, Jaden Meisinger, each held to less than 100 yards rushing, each held out of the scoring. Neither one scored a touchdown. Bryce Veasley for Kaiser, enough. 10 of 13 passing. Very efficient, 151 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no picks. He had 7 carries for a grand total of -2 yards rushing, but one of them was for a touchdown. I think that was a 3-yard carry in for the score. So Kaiser, behind Bryce Veasley, picks up the win. St. Thomas now has 3 losses on the season. We know they're against quality opponents, but is it enough that this is going to keep them out of the playoffs? We'll see. St. Thomas, tough road ahead. How about Roosevelt continuing on the farewell to the NAIA tour, picks up a victory over a St. Francis team that had just 1 loss coming in. 28-24, the final, the Lakers over the Saints. It was back and forth, and then 21-all in the fourth quarter. After a blocked punt, St. Francis looked to be in a good position late, had the ball in the fourth quarter, got it back after the block punt, had it on the Roosevelt 37 to start the drive. The Lakers defense holds the Saints to a 43-yard field goal attempt. It didn't go through. Roosevelt went 70 yards in 5 plays, took 2 minutes off the board. It was capped off by Tyler Tenner. How about that? We've talked about his name quite a bit. We mention it again. 3-yard touchdown run with 1:12 left. He had a reception, 2 carries on this drive. Tyler Tenner on the day, 27 carries, 108 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Also had 3 catches for 26 yards through the air as well. Sam Tumulty back in place for the Saints. 24 of 34 passing, 375 yards passing. Shut down there in that late in the fourth quarter, though, and that was where it was tough. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, had 11 carries, just 3 yards that he was able to pick up. Roosevelt gets the win. Both these teams now are 4-2. College of Idaho 56, Arizona Christian 17, and one of friends of the channel here, Vince Delicio, out in Arizona, sent a message, direct message too, said College of Idaho, well, they may as well be with the big win over Arizona Christian, said they're the real deal. 4 quarterbacks, though, between these two teams combined to throw at least 1 interception on the day. But Andy Peters, even though he had the 1 pick, had 3 passing touchdowns for the Coyotes. 14 of 28 passing for the day, 155 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, had 7 carries for 50 yards as well. And how about Caden Cobb? A 100-yard kickoff return to open the second half. First kickoff return for College of Idaho for a touchdown since 2014, 9 years. So, and by the way, John Schofield, 1 carry, 2 rushing yards, had a rushing touchdown. 3 reception, 41 yards, had a receiving touchdown. Continue to keep that name in mind. John Schofield continuing to make some noise for College of Idaho this year. And of course, Andy Peters doing a great job as well. One last in the Beyond the Five. And if you're watching this and you're a Morningside fan, I'll tell you what, this one should probably have been in the top 5, but there was one game that pushed it just enough out. So we'll say if there were a 5A and 5B, this will be 5B, just outside the top 5. Morningside 62, Concordia 6. The Mustangs hold the Bulldogs in check. Morningside scored the first 55 points in this game, 597 yards of total offense. It is the 73rd consecutive regular season win for Morningside. We keep up with that stat. Why? Because it's fun, and we just enjoy doing that. So a big, big win. And the offense, there we go. I was wondering if Dale was here tonight. So we did get to Morningside. And Dale, I will tell you that I was thinking of you. This one probably should have been there, but I had room for only 5 in my graphics. So there we go. I need to maybe make a new graphic. Offense finally looked like what the folks up there in Morningside are used to, and why not? 597 yards of total offense. Cash Parker. Now, and by the way, Cash Parker and Lennox Brown both saw time. Parker saw a little bit more, and of the two, he's the passing quarterback. So 20 of 27 through the air, 284 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Zach Norton caught 3 of those touchdown passes. He had 9 catches on the day for 140 yards receiving, one of the bigger days of the weekend through the year. So Morningside continues to be undefeated, and again, 73 consecutive wins there. All right, we go to our top 5 performances. And by the way, as we put the numbers up here, we're about to put that graphic up there. Let me say that we have here on the channel finally joined the YouTube partner program. So we're excited about that, a way to monetize the channel a little bit more. We've got some other things that are going on, but I was excited about that. That was something that was really pretty cool to see. So a big deal there for us. We're stoked about it. We're definitely stoked about it. All right, let's see here as we get this up over here. There we go. There's our graphic. So you see the top 5 performances from the weekend, the way we see it here on Midwest Sportsnet, and let's run through them right now. Yes, just look right here. Jason Haynes. Here's one of the things that kept Morningside and Zach and Cash out. Georgetown 52, Bethel 24. Now Georgetown was outgained in this game by a good amount, as a matter of fact. But the Tigers took advantage of turnovers, good defense, bad punts. I mean, like an 8-yard punt, bad punts, great kickoff returns, got good field position, and stopped Bethel's 17-game regular season win streak. Georgetown had 2 sacks on the season coming into this game, had 4 sacks on the day. So it was the defense really that stepped up. But how about this offense? Darius Neal, 22 carries, 180 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, here is where I said that this is probably the one that pushed it out, though. And we've talked about it here on the program. If you get 2 pick sixes in a game, you'll find your way into the top 5. Jason Hayes does just that. Had 3 tackles, but he had 2 touchdowns and scored on his 2 interceptions, scored touchdowns on both those interceptions, 2 pick sixes, one from 8 yards out, one from 18 yards out, had a grand total of 26 yards combined, but put 12 points on the board for his team. Georgetown 52, Bethel 24, Mid-South. That is a strong, strong conference. So don't write Bethel out now. Now Bethel is looking like it could be an at-large team. Georgetown in the driver's seat there in the Mid-South. We move on down. Valley City State. And how about the play from Justin Bice? And actually, you know what? Bice's name is on there. It should actually read Noah Chambers. So we'll try to correct that. Noah Chambers had the day. Now, Justin Bice, by the way, did have 2 receiving touchdowns, 7 catches on the day, 114 yards receiving, 2 receiving touchdowns. But he should be sharing that graphic with Noah Chambers. The backup quarterback came in late in the first half for Avery Thorsgaard, and all he did was lead Valley State to the win. Waldorf was up 24-0 at the half. Chambers comes in, and in the second half, the Vikings score on 4 consecutive possessions. Chambers with a 21-yard touchdown run, then a 42-yard touchdown pass to Bice, then a 34-yard touchdown pass to Bice, and then a 1-yard touchdown run as well. So should be Noah Chambers and Justin Bice on that graphic right there. And by the way, for Waldorf, Jatovier Hill with another touchdown on the year, 21 carries, 143 yards. He's continuing to shine for Waldorf, but Valley City State picking up the win right there. Let's go on. Indiana Wesleyan. The Wildcats are still undefeated, and boy, this is a team that really is making a push to get into the postseason. Playing against a rival in Taylor, but just a little bit too much Indiana Wesleyan. But you know what? Honestly, to Taylor's credit, the numbers were comparable and actually favorable in a lot of different statistics. And check this one out. Taylor dominated time of possession, had the ball 40 minutes and 33 seconds as opposed to Indiana Wesleyan's 19 minutes, 27 seconds. But when the Wildcats were in, it was just too much of that Indiana Wesleyan offense. Xander Stokes, 13 for 22 passing, 135 passing yards, 2 touchdown passes, no picks on the day, 6 carries, 26 yards, had 1 rushing touchdown. And then to Darian Williams, how about this? 18 carries, 288 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns. Oh, he had 4 receptions for 22 yards as well. Had 310 all-purpose yards on the day. So Stokes and Williams lead Indiana Wesleyan to the win, 42-17. Wildcats continue to roll. All right, so our last 2 actually played in the same game. And this is where, we talk about, and I want to bring things up every now and again, because I did not pick Reinhardt earlier, not once, I think, but twice. But I decided that I was not going to not pick Reinhardt again. So let's bring up this clip from Thursday night's preview show, and I'm hoping the audio works well on this one. We'll find out. Who are you going to take in this one? I'm not going to go against Reinhardt again. I'm sorry. I'm just not, especially if they're undefeated in the series. So Reinhardt 5-0 all-time, won 20-7, and this was back in 2019, the last time these two teams met. Reinhardt with 5 consecutive wins in the series. I would say stay with the trend in this one. Yeah, I'm not going to pick against Reinhardt again, especially when they're undefeated in the entire series history, and they were. So I did pick Reinhardt. Reinhardt goes on to the victory, but I have to tell you what, it did not come easy for the Eagles. 41-35 over the Bears in double overtime. Reinhardt tied the game with a Taylor Jackson 23-yard touchdown run with 17 seconds left. And then, and this is something, and by the way, let me know in the chat if you've seen this before, because I don't know that I've seen this. And if I have, I must not have been paying close enough attention. Reinhardt wins the toss and elects to go on offense first. I mean, this is an Eagles team that had some momentum, and so they took it right on into overtime. Reinhardt won the toss, plays offense first, scored first as it was Taylor Jackson to Luis Morris, 25-yard pass for a touchdown, very first play. That shows that you did take that momentum into overtime. But Pikeville gets it back, and Lee Kirkland, a 1-yard carry. It was actually challenged, but it was upheld, and so the score tied at 35 apiece. Reinhardt then, as Pikeville now gets the option And of course, Pikeville says, hey, listen, we're gonna go on defense first, as 99.999% of the time it happens. But Reinhardt with the ball first again, and it didn't take too long. They got the ball first, 3 plays. That includes a 21-yard touchdown pass from Jackson, this time to Colin Fletcher. Pikeville couldn't get a first down in the second overtime ball game. Credit to the Reinhardt defense on this one. They picked up the pace in this one. Let's talk about some of the players in this game. First off, Lee Kirkland, he was in our top 5 last week. Well, why not? He threw for 614 yards in the Pikeville win. Lee Kirkland, not quite 614 yards this week. 19 for 34 passing, 243 yards through the air, 3 touchdown passes, no picks. Oh, and also had 7 carries for 58 yards and 2 touchdown passes. So Kirkland responsible for 5 touchdowns in this game. Taylor Jackson says, hold my Dr. Pepper, because, that's what we drink here on Midwest Sports Net. 15 for 27 passing, 266 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 14 carries, 65 yards, and 2 more rushing touchdowns for him. Jackson with 4 and 2 has 6 touchdowns responsible for the day. And by the way, it was a cast of characters involved in this production. So you got a couple of headliners there on the marquee, but you've got a lot of other folks who are going to get their names read in the closing credits. Alex Sanders, 22 carries, 126 yards rushing for Pikeville. And Jerdavian Culber, we talked about him on Thursday night. 28 carries, 150 yards rushing. But Lee Kirkland, back-to-back weeks in our top 5. And Taylor Jackson, first time he makes an appearance in our top 5, 15 for 27, 6 touchdowns. Those two at the bottom of the graphic right there combine to be responsible for 11 touchdowns in the same game. So a fantastic game. We're not picking against Reinhardt again, and you can't make us. So there we go. How about that? Top 5, which consists of, again, we read back down through the list. Georgetown's Jason Hayes, Valley City State's Noah Chambers, and Justin Bice. Indiana Wesleyan with Xander Stokes and Darian Williams. Pikeville's Lee Kirkland for the second consecutive week, and Reinhardt with Taylor Jackson. I want to say thanks to everybody for watching tonight. I appreciate that. We will have we have a summit actually tomorrow, and we're going to talk a little volleyball tomorrow. So please be sure and tune in for that one when it comes out. And then don't forget, for sure, if we don't see you before then, definitely on Thursday night, we're going to preview Week 7. The KCAC comes back, as does the Heart, coming back with a lot of action. We'll talk a little bit about that and maybe a little bit of the difference that has proven out over the first 6 weeks of the season. The Kessinger and the Bissell are not the same, at least not in 2023. Thanks, Roger, for chatting. I appreciate you watching on the mobile. Thank you very much for being a part of the chat tonight. Dale, thank you as always for watching. Dave, thank you for watching as well. Folks who are cheering on the GPAC and Morningside in particular. And Jake, my goodness, we did have a couple of upsets this week, but I think we're going to have more next week. I really do. I think we're going to have more next week. We'll talk about that and maybe take a chance on some picks. So we're going to get this one in less than half an hour, so I will get off the air right now. God bless you all. Thanks again for watching. Tell a friend. Please like the video and maybe share it as well. And we will see you again later. God bless you. Have a great night.